الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream on a very, very hot, sweltering hot day here in the great state of New Jersey on a day in which is, as we said here in the title, the machine. They've been trying to attack Jonathan Brown for years, sweltering, for years. So let's actually see what's going on here. For those of you who are not aware who Jonathan Brown is a convert, as many people don't even know anything about him. So to give them the full background, he's a man who converted to Islam over 7 years ago, and I actually first crossed paths with him at Georgetown when I was taking some courses there for my master's, and he was already, I believe, graduated from there and went on to the University of Chicago to do a PhD on Hadith. He did a really, really strong dissertation on Imam al-Bukhari. He has a number of books on the subject matter of Hadith, and he is the chairman of the department there in Georgetown. He went back to Georgetown. He's been there for like 20 years. So yesterday, I first got wind of this situation where Professor Jonathan Brown by Hamza Weld Maqbool put a post. Jonathan Brown is being in a witch hunt for zero reason. No, don't do that. For other than him speaking out against baby killers. Whatever you may think of him or his work, positive or otherwise, he's a brave man. We are proud of him for speaking out. I personally asked everyone to make dua for him and do what they can to counter this injustice. So Dropsite put out a post, said, after a campaign to dishonestly portray him as calling for Iran to strike a U.S. base. Now, the post that's in question has since been deleted, so I can't read it for you. But what essentially it said was that he said he hoped that rather than a strike, that it would just be one of these strategic hits, strategic strikes. You know, I don't even know if it's symbolic is the word he said. One of these symbolic attacks. And that's all that Iran's been doing. When Iran was hit earlier on in the war with before this episode, before that, all they did was basically they said, okay, we're going to strike this empty warehouse and damage $500 worth of goods or something like that. Like symbolic strikes. So he said it would be better for them to do that. So that seems to be that he's not actually calling for Iran to strike the U.S. He's saying that if this situation ends with a symbolic strike, I think that's what it says, but nobody's going to know because we don't have the tweet anymore unless someone screenshot it somewhere. So he's been removed as chair of the department. He's on leave and is now under an internal university review. The update came during testimony today from interim president Robert Groves before a House of Representative hearing on so-called anti-Semitism in higher education. Groves said the university contacted Brown within minutes. Could you get a photograph so some people can know who Jonathan Brown is? He contacted Brown within minutes of his tweet, which was later deleted. The tweet was widely misrepresented as advocating an Iranian attack on U.S. forces. Do you think he's dumb to do something like that, to say something like that in a tweet? In fact, Jonathan Brown actually descends from the family from Cleveland, for whose name is the Cleveland Browns. So that's the Brown that he's actually related to. In fact, Brown was making the point that with some sort of retaliation expected from Iran after U.S. attacks on 3 nuclear facilities, instead of responding by indiscriminately bombing civilian targets, as Israel does, he hoped Iran would instead pursue the limited, coordinated, and telegraphed strikes it has carried out in the past. The context was stripped from much of the public outrage that followed. Brown, who was the chair of Islamic Studies at Georgetown, has been an outspoken opponent for Israel's genocide war, as most of academia says. I'm just going to read you what some of the people say, and which I agree with. Dr. Abdullah Ali says, Brown is a good man, great scholar, like any human being with a good heart. He's passionate about injustice and massacre of innocent women and children. It's clear that he's being punished for his opposition to genocidal behavior. And his tweet, while not perfectly worded, clearly allows for the more charitable reading, which is that he merely hoped the conflict would de-escalate and not lead to a broader conflict as so many had feared. I hope the university doesn't take any further action and set a bad precedent regarding tenure. Of course, he's tenured. Okay. Let's see. Dr. Hatem al-Hajj has a post on this. Okay. In defense of academic integrity, Dr. Hatem al-Hajj, he says, do I need to remind you of our duty to support one another in the face of viciousness of powerful, ill-intentioned opponents? I just sent this letter this morning, and I encourage you to do the same. You can email it to Robert Groves, the interim president of Georgetown. Leave this thing, it's making too much noise. He says, Dear President Groves and Dr. Ferreira, I'm writing to express deep concern over the recent decision to place Dr. Jonathan Brown on leave and remove him from his position as chair of the Department of Arabic and Islamic Studies at Georgetown. Dr. Brown is a globally respected scholar of Islamic thought, hadith, and legal interpretation. His work is recognized not only for its academic rigor, but also for its commitment to build bridges of understanding across faiths and cultures. As someone who has benefited from his scholarship, I find it disheartening that a single post, now widely misrepresented, is being used to undermine his career and silence his voice. The social media post in question, when read in context, is clearly a call for restraint, not escalation. Dr. Brown, do we even have do we have the post at all? Yeah, can you look that up on your phone so you don't have to get off the screen here? Is that a saved picture, or is that the? No, this is the tab. Okay. I urge the university, or he says here that the social media post, read in context, is clearly a call for restraint, not escalation. Dr. Brown expressed hope that any response to violence would be symbolic in order to prevent further bloodshed. To recast this as him cheering on an attack is a gross misreading, one that is now being amplified in politicized spaces with alarming consequences. A silver lining for Jack, as he's known in his friends' circles, is that they'll do this smear campaign, which is stupid, but his name will be out there, his face will get out there, and soon they'll forget about it. The truth will come out, and hopefully more people will be paying attention to his tweets, which already a lot of people do, in the future, and his Facebook posts in the future, and his voice will actually be louder. This is actually for him, not against him. It's just that the beginning phase is rough. I urge the university to affirm its commitment to intellectual honesty, due process, and academic freedom, allowing external political pressures and or bad faith interpretations to dictate disciplinary action sets a dangerous precedent. Dangerous precedent for scholars, especially those working in fields as complex and sensitive as Middle Eastern and Islamic studies. For the sake of institutional integrity, fairness, and reputation, and the reputation of Georgetown as a place of serious scholarship, I respectfully ask that Dr. Brown be reinstated as chair of the Department of Islamic Studies. Okay. Sincerely, Hatem al-Hajj, MD, PhD, member of the American Muslim Jurists of America. So I'll share this with some people here. That was good. Very good. I'll send it to the crew here. So that's just the story with him. I don't see anything. I don't even see where the actual post is. They took it down, but no one screenshotted it or anything. That's irrelevant. Just I want to show that it's actually misrepresented, as I trust what they say here, and many people actually have seen it and said the same thing, that it's misrepresented, and it's obviously just it's completely twisted. CARE also has released a statement to fully reinstate him. He's again, similar, and they have letters. Okay. Their version of a letter to the president, and everyone is encouraged to email the president and show how much of a mistake this was, because following and there's actually a lot of. All right, so let's see here. All right, no news on that. Next segment of our stream, unless you find anything new, I think that's all we can say right now. Our dua is with them, and inshallah he will be strengthened through this. I'm telling you, this is bad now, but inshallah it will be in the future very good for him. More people will listen to him. More eyes will be on him now. More people have known about him. So you think something's bad for you, it could actually be very good for you. Next subject matter. Never again. Guest essay. Opinion. Guest essay in the New York Times. I'm a genocide scholar. I know it when I see it. By Omer Bartov. Why don't you pull that up, Alif, at least the cover picture there, because it's a pretty strong picture. Okay, that's got, like, obviously the Jewish slogan, ripped apart. That's what it's got. So screenshot that and put that as the picture there. This is a long article, but I'll just give you the summary of it. He says, a month after the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, I believe there was evidence that the Israeli military had committed war crimes and potentially crimes against humanity in its counterattack on Gaza. But contrary to the cries of Israel's fiercest critics, the evidence did not seem to me to rise to the crime of genocide. But by May 2024, the Israel Defense Forces had ordered about 1 million Palestinians sheltering in Rafah, the southernmost and last remaining relatively undamaged city of the Gaza Strip, to move to the beach area of the Mawasi, where there was little to no shelter. The army then proceeded to destroy much of Rafah, a feat mostly accomplished by August. At that point, it appeared no longer possible to deny that the pattern of IDF operations was consistent with the statements denoting genocidal intent made by Israeli leaders in the days after the Hamas attack. Prime Minister Netanyahu had promised that the enemy would pay a huge price for the attack and that the IDF would turn parts of Gaza, where Hamas was operating, into rubble. And he called on the residents of Gaza to leave now because we will operate forcefully everywhere. Netanyahu had urged his citizens to remember what Amalek did to you, a quote many interpreted as a reference to the demand in a biblical passage calling for the Israelites to kill alike men, women, infants, and sucklings, also the goats and the sheep, of their ancient enemy. Government and military officials said they were fighting human animals and later called for total annihilation. Nissim Vaturi, the deputy speaker of parliament, said on X that Israel's task must be erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. Israel's actions could be understood only as the implementation of the expressed intent to make the Gaza Strip uninhabitable for the Palestinian population. I believe the goal was, and remains to be, to force the population to leave the Strip altogether, or considering that it has nowhere to go, to debilitate the enclave through bombings and severe deprivation of food, clean water, sanitation, and medical aid. Okay. To make it impossible for Palestinians in Gaza to maintain or reconstitute their existence as a group. That's the definition of genocide. To essentially enable or disable a group of people from ever reconstituting themselves. My inescapable conclusion has become that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. Also get Omer Bartov's picture in there too. He's an Israeli historian. There's no way he lives in Israel. You can't talk like this in Israel. Having grown up in a Zionist home, lived the first half of my life in Israel, served in the IDF as a soldier, and spent most of my career researching war crimes and the Holocaust. This was a painful conclusion to reach, and one that I resisted as long as I could. But I have been teaching classes on genocide for a quarter of a century. I can recognize one when I see one. This is not just my conclusion. A growing number of experts in genocide studies and international law have concluded that Israel's actions in Gaza can only be defined as genocide. So has Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Reporter for the West Bank, and Amnesty International. South Africa has brought a genocide case against Israel. The continued denial of this designation by states, international organizations, and legal and scholarly experts will cause unmitigated damage, not just to the people of Gaza and Israel, but also to the system of international law established in the wake of the horrors of the Holocaust, designed to prevent such atrocities from happening ever again. It is a threat to the very foundation of the moral order on which we all depend. The crime of genocide was defined in 1948 by the UN as the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, to permanently destroy them. In determining what constitutes genocide, therefore, we must establish intent and execution. The intent to do this and the execution of it. In Israel's case, the intent to irreparably damage a group of people so that they can never reconstitute themselves has been publicly expressed by numerous officials and leaders. All right, now, just as in case you're ever chit-chatting with anyone, talking with anyone, and you want to know exactly what is genocide exactly? How do I prove that something is a genocide? Well, this is it. Firstly, it's defined as the irreparable damage or irreparable damage to a people such that they can never reconstitute themselves again. They can never be those people again. So that is the first thing that you need to know. Let me just open up the stream here so I can see everybody's comments. All right. So that's the first. Secondly, that's the definition. Now, how can you successfully accuse somebody of that? They have to show the intent, usually with their words, or written, or spoken, or with number two, and you have to show that they actually executed their intent. Okay, so for that you could put down what is genocide. Okay, NYT Omar Bartov. Okay, so now let's get to, in Israel's case, that intent has been publicly expressed by numerous officials and leaders. He's obviously going to limit it now to the officials and leaders, not to the pundits and regular people, because they don't make government policy. The people who make government policy. Intent can also be derived from a pattern of operations on the ground. So there's a third, bil-amal, by your actions. The actions here of a people can show their intent for sure. There's no doubt about it. Okay. That intent, if you behave with a pattern of behavior can show that you're doing something intentionally. Yeah. And this pattern became clear by May 2024 and has become more clear. So let's see what it is. He's a scholar here. He's going to tell us the evidence. I like these scholarly articles where he gives it, okay, this is the had, this is the definition of genocide. These are the requirements. Okay, shurut the shurut of guilt, the conditions of guilt. Now the pieces of evidence. Okay, the actual pieces of evidence. Most genocide scholars are actually cautious about applying this term to contemporary events, precisely because of the tendency, since it was coined by a Jewish Polish lawyer, Raphael Lemkin, in 1944, to attribute it to any case of massacre or inhumanity. Indeed, some argue that the categorization should be entirely discarded because it often serves more to express outrage than to identify a particular crime. Yes, as Mr. Lemkin recognized, and as the UN later agreed, it is crucial to be able to distinguish the attempt to destroy a particular group of people from other crimes under international law, such as war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is because while other crimes entail indiscriminate or deliberate killing, genocide denotes the killing of people as members of a group, geared to irreparably destroy that group so that it would never be able to reconstitute itself as a political, social, or cultural entity. All right, this is what Hitler wanted to do with German Jews or European Jews. Finish them off all once and for all so that, well, if you talk about Europe, I'm talking to one of the commenters here. If you think about European Jews or German Jews, yeah, Hitler tried to completely erase them. All right. That was his goal. And as the international community signaled by adopting the convention, it is incumbent upon all signatory states to prevent such an attempt, to do all they can to stop it while it is occurring, to subsequently punish those who are engaged in this crime. Okay? The designation has major political, legal, and moral ramifications. Nations, politicians, military personnel suspected of, indicated on, a charge of, or found guilty of genocide are seen beyond the pale of humanity and may compromise or lose their right to remain members of the international community. A finding by the International Court, the ICJ, International Court of Justice, that a particular state is engaged in genocide, especially if enforced by the UN Security Council, can lead to severe sanctions. Politicians or generals indicted on a charge of genocide or found guilty of genocide, all right, can face arrest outside of their country, anywhere in the world. They could be arrested. And a society that condones and is complicit in genocide, whatever the stand of its individual citizens may be, will carry this mark of Cain long after the fires of hatred and violence are put out. Okay, so that's the general public, the court of public opinion. So he listed now for us the had, what is the definition of genocide, What are the conditions for something to be genocide? And then so the had, the shurut, and then what are the results? Like, what are the punishments? What's the punishment of someone doing this? How does it suffer? Like, why should they avoid it? Israel has denied all allegations of war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. The IDF says it investigates reports of crimes, although it has rarely made its finding public. And when breaches of discipline or protocol are acknowledged, it has generally meted light reprimands to its personnel. Israeli military and political leaders repeatedly describe the IDF as acting lawfully, say they issue warnings to civilian populations to evacuate sites about to be attacked, and blame Hamas for using civilians as human shields. I mean, think about that. That actually goes against what they're saying, because what they say, on one hand, when a civilian is killed, they say that the people were there. Okay. They say that Hamas was there hiding. Right? They were hiding amongst the people. Yet you're also telling us that you make these broad announcements to the public. Hey, we're about to destroy this. All civilians leave. So if Hamas is amongst the civilians, then the civilians would leave. What is the point of the attack then? The point of the attack is not to destroy the building. The point of the attack is you want to kill your enemy, Hamas. So for them to say that they make these big public announcements, if they do, it's a for show. Because what they say otherwise, when they kill civilians, they say we had to because Hamas was there. Right? In fact, the systematic destruction in Gaza, not only of housing, but also of other infrastructure, government buildings, hospitals and universities, mosques, cultural sites, water treatment plants, agriculture areas, parks, reflects a policy aimed at making the revival of Palestinian life in this territory, highly unlikely. According to a recent investigation by Haaretz, 174,000 buildings have been destroyed or damaged. That is 70% of all the structures in the Strip. You're walking in hell when you see that. You're walking in rubble. Okay. So far, more than 58,000 people killed. Whoa, that number is triple it. No, he's got to use only the academic sources, like the reliable official organizational sources. Common sense tells you it's way more than that. He says that that's according to the Gaza health authorities. So the Gaza Health Authority, who is themselves being bombed, are they equipped to perform a proper census of who's been killed? How are they gonna do it? They say 17,000 children. Okay. 187 or 870 children less than a year old. 2,000 families completely wiped out. The whole family. 2,000 families. 5,600 families now count only one survivor. 10,000 people are buried under the ruins of their homes. 138,000 have been wounded or maimed. Gaza now has the grim distinction of having the highest number of amputee children per capita in the world. An entire generation of children subjected to ongoing military attacks, loss of parents, long-term malnutrition, will suffer severe physical and mental repercussions for the rest of their lives. Who do we have here? We have a guest, folks. Thousands are now chronically ill. Who do we have here? Whoa. Let's see. Put her here. Look, it's a genius. She still has her claws, huh? Let's see. She has her claws still again. We have a guest, folks. There we go. Elif, zoom out a little bit so our guests can attend with us. Stay still and don't move. Bend. Oh, she has a leash too. Oh. The horror of what has been happening in Gaza is still described by most observers as war. What? Between who? A group of people who have like rocks and barely any weapons? And if they did in the past, what manpower do they have? But this is a misnomer. It's not a war. For the last year, the IDF has not been fighting an organized military body. The version of Hamas that plans and carried out the October 7th attacks has been destroyed. Though the weakened group continues to fight Israeli forces and retains control over the population in areas not held by the Israeli army. Today, the IDF is primarily engaged in an operation of demolition and ethnic cleansing. That's how Mr. Netanyahu's own former chief of staff and minister of defense, the hardliner Moshe Yaalon, described on Israel's Democrat TV and in articles and interviews the attempt to clear northern Gaza of its population. Sticker right here. Yeah. On January 19th, she matches with the black. On January 19th, under pressure from Donald Trump, who was a day away from resuming the presidency, a ceasefire went into effect, facilitating the exchange of hostages in Gaza for Palestinian prisoners in Israel. But following Israel's breaking of the ceasefire, this was back when people used to actually listen to Trump. Of course, now that he's just shown to be bought and sold and quadrupling down on Epstein is just a hoax, now nobody listens to him, even MAGA people. Khalas, they just yawning when he talks now. This was it for them. But following Israel's breaking the ceasefire on March 18th, the IDF has been executing a well-publicized plan to concentrate the entire Gazan population in a quarter of the territory in 3 zones. Gaza City, the central refugee camps, and the Mawasi coastline in the strip's southwestern edge. Using large numbers of bulldozers and huge aerial bombs supplied by the United States, the military appears to be trying to demolish every remaining structure and establish control over the other 3/4 of the territory. This is also being facilitated by a plan that provides intermittently limited aid supplies at a few distribution points, guarded by the Israeli military, drawing people to the south. Many Gazans are killed in a desperate attempt to obtain food, and the starvation crisis deepens. Defense Minister Israel Katz said the IDF would build a humanitarian city over the ruins of Rafah to initially accommodate 600,000 Palestinians. Yeah, we're going to believe you. After all that, now you say something like that. Who's going to believe you? And it goes on and on, but I highly recommend this read to everybody. Okay. It's long. I just read about 40% of it. Let's see his comparison with the Nazis. Israel, created in the wake of the Holocaust as the answer to the Nazi genocide of the Jews, has always insisted that any threat to its security must be seen as potentially leading to another Auschwitz. This provides Israel with license to portray those it perceives as its enemies as Nazis, a term used repeatedly by Israeli media figures to depict Hamas, and by extension all Gazans, based on the popular assertion that none of them are uninvolved, not even the infants who would grow up to be militants. You know, that's their fiqh, is like that. Their jurisprudence says that they make an analogy. That if you see a man right over there, and he's coming, and you have knowledge that in 5 minutes he plans to shoot you, do you have to wait? No. I know he's going to shoot me. I have a tip-off that he's going to shoot me, and that tip-off has certain evidence. I can shoot him now. You take that. They then make qiyas and say, well, when a Palestinian child is born, likewise, you know he's going to grow up to fight against you, right? Whoa, you just made a qiyas of 1 hour to a lifetime, right? Subhanallah, these very bad jurisprudence. And that's, what's his name that we always quote, who talks about that? Omar A. Omar A was a champ in Dallas. What's his name that we always quote? The Rabbi Mizrahi. He's the one who speaks about that, and he justifies killing kids with that analogy. That's the qiyas that they use. I've shared it many times. Rabbi Yusuf Mizrahi is justifying killing kids. This is not new to liken to render all civilians guilty. Okay, is not new. So you see the doublespeak. On one hand, no, we give warning to civilians. Wait, if you give warnings to civilians, then why are you telling us they're all guilty? You see the doublespeak? So to the world and to the U.S. and the people who care about humanitarian things, yes, we give warning to civilians. But what they actually believe, there are no civilians. Everyone's guilty. Even the infant child that's born is guilty. This is not a new phenomenon. As early as Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982, Menachem Begin compared Arafat to Hitler. This time, the analogy is being used in connection with a policy. See, they didn't just suffer a Holocaust. They branded it. They sold it. And they what's the word? No, they to use something aggressively. No, they, like, you know what it is when they say to weaponized it. They took their being victims of the Holocaust. They were able to brand it, make a business out of it, and weaponize it. And now they use that as their shield for actually committing a Holocaust themselves. Because when you're so tightly married to a subject, for or against, you actually become that thing. You will become that thing. If you now are against, let's say, Hitler, against the Nazis, as in this case, against the Nazis. They hate the Nazis so much. But all you do, every year you got to repeat it. Every year you're doing this stuff. You're going to internalize it. The anger, you're going to internalize it. Where is that anger going to come out? It's got to come out on somebody. So here they are. So they actually are now doing exactly what they've preached has been done to them. So that's one of the signs when a person handles a tribulation well, he becomes someone who helps future victims and never commits the atrocity that was committed against him. But when you handle something with resentment, and the resentment just builds up and builds up, you actually become the person you hate the most. The daily scenes of horror in Gaza, from which the Israeli public is shielded by its own media, self-censorship, expose the lies of Israeli propaganda. That this is a war of defense against a Nazi-like enemy. One shudders when Israeli spokespeople shamelessly utter the hollow slogan of the IDF being the most moral army in the world. Some European nations, such as France, Britain, and Germany, as well as Canada, have feebly protested Israeli actions, especially since it breached the ceasefire in March. But they have neither suspended arms shipments nor taken any concrete, meaningful economic or political steps that might deter Netanyahu's government. For a while, the U.S. seemed to have lost interest in Gaza, with Trump initially announcing in February that the U.S. would take over Gaza, promising to turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East, and letting Israel get on with the Strip's destruction and turning his attention to Iran. At the moment, one can only hope that Mr. Trump will again pressure a reluctant. No, that's never going to happen. Watch the camera. Watch the camera. All right, how will Israel's future be affected by the inevitable demolition of its incontestable morality derived from its birth in the ashes of the Holocaust? So you went from the victims of the world, now nobody likes you. Okay, before that, everyone agreed, yes, they're victims. They need Israel, all that stuff. But now everyone hates you. Not for being you, for your actions. Okay? Everyone except for Charlie Kirkstein and that lot of bought and sold fools and evangelical Zionist Christians. Christian Zionists. Israel's political leadership and its citizenry will have to decide. There seems to be little domestic pressure for the urgently needed change of paradigm. They're fine going with it. The whole country's in delusion right now. The recognition that there is no solution to this conflict other than an Israeli-Palestinian agreement to share the land under whatever parameters the two sides agree on, be it two states or one state or a confederation, none of that is in play. Robust external pressures from the country's allies also appear unlikely. I'm deeply worried that Israel will persist on its disastrous course, remaking itself irreversibly into a full-blown authoritarian apartheid state. It already is. Such states, as history has taught us, do not last. Another question arises. What consequences will Israel's moral reversal have for the culture of Holocaust commemoration and the politics of memory, education, and scholarship, when so many of its intellectual and administrative leadership have up to now refused to face up to the responsibility to denounce inhumanity and genocide wherever it occurs? So that's going to be interesting too. Those engaged in the worldwide culture of commemoration and remembrance built around the Holocaust will have to confront a moral reckoning. Right? All of those ceremonies should be disrupted. No doubt about it. The wider community of why are we worrying about the genocide that happened when nobody's alive anymore to even witnessed it versus the genocide that you are doing right now? Of course you're in denial. The Nazis were also in denial. The Nazis, when they were doing this stuff in Auschwitz, and I'm not going to discuss the numbers, some of which do not make any sense, mathematically impossible, but when they were doing it, they would go back home and eat dinner with the fam, and the weekend go tech pap picnics, do whatever they want to do with the family. And Monday morning, go and genocide again. Okay. Holocaust will, are the wider community of genocide scholars, those engaged in the study of comparative genocide or of any of the many other genocides that have marred human history, is now edging ever closer toward a consensus over describing the events in Gaza as a genocide. And that's due to technology that we have. Everything's sped up. So if we were 100 years ago, all this would happen, and maybe it'll have taken 6 months for the news that something's going on to take place, let alone actual footage. And then it would take another 50 years to actually say, yes, it was a genocide. But now, khalas. Okay. In November, a little more than a year into the war, Israeli genocide scholar Shemuel Letterman joined the growing chorus. No. Get away from the camera. Join you know that there's a parenting style now, and even some Muslims are bought into it. Never tell your kid no. Oh, please. So first of all, it's not even practical. It's not even practical, number one. Number two, don't you need to train your kid adab? Doesn't he need to be trained to curb himself? The entire Quran, God's speech to him as an adult, which starts as a young adult, once you reach puberty, do certain things, don't do things. I'm your creator. I will tell you what not to do. I can ban you from something. If you don't have that humility, you cannot read the Quran. You will just shut it. Your ego will not allow you to read the Quran. The Quran is only a book read for humble people. And for somebody to say we need to create a world of yeses, not a world of no's. No, it's a world that has no's, and yet the first word of the Shahada is La, right? The negation. La ilaha illallah. It's the first word of the testimony of faith. So I never buy into gentle parenting. Gentle parenting is a philosophy. Now, gentle sounds like a nice word. But no, in their philosophy, you can never say no. You can't deny them stuff. There's, even when you deny them, you have to replace it. Even when you talk to them, you have to bend down to their level. Okay. When you want them to get in the car, you have to sort of show them, why is it important to get into a car? Who the heck has time for this, right? Get in the car we don't have time for this. And if I did have time for this, I'm ruining the kid because the rest of the world doesn't have time for him, right? If you are so special to me, and let's say I have an only child, that I'm not going to tell you to get into the car. I'm going to explain to you the importance of getting into the car, right? And why is it that we have to wait? So I got to explain everything to him and I got to convince him. Why? Because he's special to me. He's not special to his future employer. He's not special to many other people. He will just be told what to do. He was not special to government agencies who say, you need a permit for this. Oh, I'd like to have a discussion on why. Have a discussion with the wall. Oh, I'm like a paid government employee. I'm not having a discussion with you. That's he's going to be told in the future. And he's going to have a shock. And he's going to think the whole world's bad. And he's going to retreat into a cave. A soft space again. I cannot say what?
Also, Bar's critical thinking. Like, if you're just telling them, they're not thinking about why.
Yeah.
Just telling them all the time.
Yeah. If you always tell them about why, you think about it on your own. It bars them from critical thinking. Yeah, critical thinking. And it's just not even practical, to be honest with you. It's not practical at all. And then when those kids go and mingle with regular guys, they don't fit in. They don't fit in. When those kids, girl or boy, they go mingle with regular humans like us, they don't fit in, right? You have to walk with such eggshells around them, and everything is a full-blown discussion. Everything is a full-blown discussion because of this fake parenting. Let's just exactly right. Yeah, how are you're gonna have to say no to the bully, right? Yeah. But you were never told no. But good luck with that. Good luck with that. It's not gonna work.
I just think there is some parents, they just say no for everything.
Yeah.
Like for no reason, they don't know why they're saying no.
Yeah.
So the kids don't take them seriously anymore. Oh no, don't touch that. Don't touch that. I think there's a balance. Like
those are the parents who constrain the kid too much.
Don't care about what they have to say. The parents.
That's true.
Even when it's something serious.
I don't even believe that kids should be indoor most of the time. When you think about the indoor home of today's world, there's too many fragile things, right? There's no fresh air. There's a lack of ability to just move freely without worry. Like you knock something over. It's literally not made for kids and toddlers. The home. You put them outside. This is what we do with the kids in the summertime. You put your shorts and your t-shirt on. You fill up the kiddie pool. All right. You send the kid out loose. Send him outside. He's run after squirrels, play with a ball, find something to do. When it's lunchtime, he eats at the picnic at the patio table outside. When it's dinner time, right? Maybe he washes his hands, comes and sits at the dinner table. When the night is over, up to the bathtub, dunk, full dunk, shake him out in the soap. All right, put that water down, rinse him out, put him on the PJs. Then he can sit on the couch, eat watermelon, do whatever you want until it's time for bedtime. That's the childhood of, right, summertime. But no, this new generation, they're going to organize his play. They're going to make sure he's fully scheduled, right? The mom is going to get involved in the play. And not get involved in the play like throwing a ball. No, they'll like get kits. You know these parents? They get kits. They get, all sorts of things. So the kid never thinks about how do I have fun for myself. Back when I was young, the idea that your parent would help you have fun, that never happened. If they left you alone, that was sufficient, right? Can I go downstairs to the basement? Yes. That was enough. That's all we needed. We didn't need you to come and help us have fun. Help us play, make a game for us, be involved, driving friends over. Yeah, that was important. We'll have fun ourselves, have fun ourselves. Anything here, we can make a game out of it. Anything on this table, we can make a game. This is more than enough to make a game out of it, right? Yeah, this is a hoop right here. You'd have a basketball game right there. Don't do this this new parenting because we haven't even seen. I've seen the results. I've seen a lot of results. You've probably seen, we've all seen some of the results. We can't stand these kids. They're not normal. Kids should experience good things, and they should experience not good things if it's good for them, right? Like, you can't do that. Where is the yes that I'm going to make when a boy is taking the wrapper for the icy, whatever, ice pop, put the whole plastic wrapper in his mouth, right? Where is the yes out of that? Am I going to now explain asphyxiation? No, take it out of your mouth. The discussion over. SubhanAllah. Anyway, let's get back to reading this. Shmuel Letterman joined the whole chorus, and they said it's a genocide. He said Israel was engaged in genocidal actions. He joined them. Canadian international lawyer William Shabbos, Jew, came to the same conclusion last year when he describes Israel's military campaign as absolutely a genocide. Other genocide experts, Melanie O'Brien, president of the International Association. Watch out, don't get scratched. She's got claws. Don't get your face too close. She can give you a scratch. Oh, sorry, I should say. Oh, first, Habibi, we need to talk about claws, okay? And animals, they have personal space. And we want to give the animal her personal space. What? Right? You guys are nuts. Okay, next. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah. He's crawling over to the cat, and the cat has claws, right? They're cut, but
I was thinking it was
yeah.
okay. I thought you were talking about me for a second.
No. Dirk Moses of CUNY described these events in a Dutch publication, NRC, as a mix of genocidal and military logic. Ugmer Umit Unger, Amsterdam-based Institute of War, also said that there are probably scholars who still don't think it's a genocide, but I don't know them. Meaning all of the scholars he knows say it's a genocide. Most Holocaust scholars I know don't hold, or at least publicly express this view, with the few notable exceptions. Of course, you know, there is Jewish supremacy. Only they could have ever been Holocausted or genocide. Only them. And by the way, I hate to say this, but their genocide is not the worst genocide that existed, or Holocaust that existed, in terms of numbers, because King Leopold's killed way more. Joseph Stalin killed way more. The Bolsheviks, they killed way more before Stalin. And the head of that army was Jewish. Nobody talks about that one. Mao Zedong killed way. Mao Zedong killed so many people purposely and through his crazy policies that caused mass starvation. And when they talk about the starvation of the Chinese in that period of time, it was not a natural starvation. Like, there's been natural starvations when their water decreases and all that. But no, this was directly through policy.
Pol Pot.
Pol Pot. Pol Pot. Yeah. According to Gentle Parenting, I need to have a long discussion about why moving the mic, we shouldn't move the mic, rather than just say, don't move the mic. Most Holocaust scholars I know don't hold, or at least publicly, right, we talked about all this. Okay, now he brings you the exceptions. All right, so this is a very logical article. All right, ذكر من قال ذلك. If anyone knows Tabari, ذكر من قال. That's what we just did. ذكر من قال ذلك. The people, the mention of, oh, Omar, you came late. The mention of those who said it's a genocide. Okay, that's what he covered. So he covered the hadd of genocide. You would have loved this article. The hadd of genocide, the shurut of genocide, the adilla of genocide, and the ذكر من قال بذلك. The mention of the names of people who agree to that conclusion. Now, the mention of those who don't say that. Okay, the mention of those who, ذكر المخالفين, the mukhalif, the people who don't say this. With a few notable steps, says now most, he says, Holocaust scholars do not say this. but some are exceptions. Israeli Raz Siegel, program director at Stockton in New Jersey and Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Scholar Amos Goldberg and Daniel Blattman. The majority of academics engaged with the history of Nazi genocide of the Jews have stayed remarkably silent, while some have openly denied Israel's crimes in Gaza or accused them. Okay, so if you're going to be like that, why should I believe you about your Holocaust scholarship? If you're telling me that the genocide I see in front of my two eyes is not a genocide, then why should I believe you about the genocide I don't see? Neither I saw nor you saw, right? Why should I believe your facts about the Holocaust, right? Right. In December, the Holocaust scholar Norman Goda opined that genocide charges like this have long been used as a fig leaf for broader challenges to Israel's legitimacy, expressing worry that they have cheapened the gravity of the word genocide itself. This genocide libel, as Dr. Goda referred to it in an essay, deploys a range of anti-Semitic tropes, including the coupling of the genocide charge with the deliberate killing of children, images of whom are ubiquitous on NGO, social media, and other watch the camera, and other platforms that charge Israel with genocide. In other words, showing images of Palestinian children ripped apart by U.S.-made bombs launched by Israeli pilots, in this view, an anti-Semitic attack. These delusional people. Again, let me say that again. Showing images of Palestinian children ripped apart is an anti-Semitic attack. So what you're gonna cheapen is not genocide. It's anti-Semitism, because someone's gonna wake up and say, "I guess I'm anti-Semitic then. Sue me," right? That's literally what your decree. Like, okay, this is anti-Semitic. Why should I be so scared of that? Right? Today, if you say someone, "Oh, that's racist," it's been overused so much that it's just gonna bounce off. Yeah, that again. Right? So at some point, someone will say, "I guess I'm anti-Semitic. What do you sue me then? Take me to court, call the police, do what you need to do, fire me," right? Most recently, Dr. Goda, and you know, a lot of people don't see what we're seeing here. I'm sorry about that. We have a child and we have a cat. That's why I was saying what I was saying, right? So they don't. Why are you hissing, Bent? Bring her over. Why did she just hiss? Huh? Put her on top of me here. She's gonna. What? She's gonna go crazy?
No, she's gonna want to go hide in the corner.
Why?
She broke her.
Put the main screen, Alifun. Bring us back to the main screen.
Put it the 3 or zoom out or 2 or 1.
Here, come here. Let me just pick her up.
Sorry for bringing her. The vet broke her leg, so she's scared of people.
The vet broke her leg? Did she get sued? He's good. There you have it. Do not put holes in my thobe. Look at you. Wait, how is her hair coming out white when she's all black hair?
She's white.
Huh? Her under is white? Yeah. All right, we continue. Yeah, he's got a leash, bro. Hold on. Let's tighten up this mic again. Yeah, there's a microphone.
We got somebody who said it quite similar to this, but they said.
What'd they say?
You mentioned like exposing the bodies of the Palestinians is something that they were labeled as anti-Semitic. Yeah. Somebody had said if exposing the criminals becomes a crime, then you know which side of history you're on.
Exactly. Thank you. That's a good one. Secondly, I'm not worried about the word anti-Semitic. You've overused it to the point it has no meaning. You're trying to scare us with the word. I'm not scared of it anymore. Right? It has no meaning to me. Obviously, it has a meaning, but not the meaning that you are intending for people to use. Like when you're overusing a word that much, right, don't be surprised when people say this is all a bunch of nonsense. The whole thing. Don't be surprised when people throw the baby out with the bathwater. What's up with this camera?
No, I think it's a sword.
The sword is tilted?
It is tilted.
How? No, it's straight.
No, it's tilted.
No.
Bring it in.
Okay. But we're not tilted. Okay. He says here, Jeffrey Herf. Jeffrey Herf and this Dr. Goda wrote in the Washington Post that the genocidal accusation hurled against Israel draws on deep wells of fear and hatred found in radical interpretations of Christianity and Islam. It has shifted from Jews as a religious group to the state of Israel, which it depicts is as inherently evil. All right, so let's do some serious gymnastics here. I think the accusation of genocide is based on you actually committing genocide. But of course, that's their going all around and around in circles and fake intellectualism. What are the ramifications of this rift between genocide scholars and Holocaust historians? Very interesting. This is not merely a squabble within academia. The memory culture created in recent decades around the Holocaust encompasses much more than the genocide of the Jews. It has come to play a crucial role in politics, education, and identity. Museums dedicated to the Holocaust have served as models for representations of other genocides around the world. Insistence that the lessons of the Holocaust demand the promotion of tolerance, diversity, anti-racism, and support for migrants and refugees, not to mention human rights and international humanitarian law, is rooted in understanding of the universal implications of the crime in the heart of the Western civilization at the peak of modernity. So, of course, the Holocaust and Hitler, that's treated as basically the birth point of the new modern era. Everything exists to ensure that that never happens again. Okay? And when they talk about tolerance and hate and all these things, it's all coming in the backdrop that we got to be careful because it can lead to another Holocaust. So that's why all these things, the migrant, the immigrant, the minority, all of that is held almost like sacred, basically because of the backdrop of the Holocaust. Right? So we have to realize that this idea of enshrining the minority or the diversity and tolerance, all that, and never having hate and no language of hate and all that, well, in a world where there wasn't a Holocaust, previous civilizations, those were not there. What's that? Those were not their main values because there wasn't a worry. Okay, avoiding another Holocaust was not their main goal. Okay. Discrediting genocide scholars who call out Israel's genocide in Gaza as anti-Semitic threatens to erode the foundation of genocide studies, the ongoing need to define, prevent, punish, and reconstruct the history of genocide. Suggesting that this endeavor is motivated instead by malign interests and sentiments that is driven by the very hatred and prejudice that was at the root of the Holocaust is not only morally scandalous, it provides an opening for a politics of denialism and impunity. Exactly what I said is that if you're a Holocaust scholar and you cannot identify the Holocaust, the genocide that's happening in front of our very eyes, then why should I believe you about a Holocaust or a genocide that occurred before our times, that is not in front of our very eyes? So I don't believe you about anything at this point. You lost your credibility. By the same token, when those who have dedicated their careers to teaching and commemorating the Holocaust insist on ignoring Israel's genocide in Gaza, they threaten to undermine everything that Holocaust scholarship has stood for. That is, dignity of every human being, respect for the rule of law, an urgent need to let inhumanity take over, never to let inhumanity take over the hearts of people and steer the actions of nations in the name of security, national interests, and sheer vengeance. So obviously, clearly now, that wasn't the case. The intent then of these types of Holocaust scholars is not to be against genocide at all. It's to enforce why is it that we need to keeps having sympathy with Israel. It was not used for the intended purpose that it's being said. Because if that was the case, you should be the number one person against anything close to genocide. Okay. We're almost done with this. What I fear is that in the aftermath of the Gaza genocide, it will no longer... Stay away from the camera. Stay away from the rug. This is bad according to the gentle parenting people, but you guys are weird, in my opinion. You're weirdos and normal, sturdy kids. Whatever happened to mental resilience? What, you can't be told no? Allah himself is telling you no all the time. Was Ali Chaudhry born to a billionaire? No. It's just Allah's decree for you. Certain things yes, certain things no, right? That's how it is, right? Certain things are yes, certain things are no. Omar, do you have a trust fund waiting for you when you turn 26 or something? No. That's reality. That's called life and reality. You look at yourself in the mirror. Do you see some kind of great model? No, you see a regular guy. Okay? That is the divine saying, no, I did not give you that nose. I did not give you that hair. Right? So learn to handle no. Okay? You have to learn to handle that. And what I find problematic is putting people and kids in a scenario where they always have to be told no. That's what bothers me. You put a child in a china shop and then you keep saying no. Don't put him in that scenario in the first place. He's going to be miserable. Right? Let him out loose outside. Get dirty. Get dirt under their nails. And then at the end of the day, you dunk them in the tub. Okay. So let's get back to the article here. Because the Holocaust has been so relentlessly invoked by the State of Israel and its defenders as a cover-up for the crimes of the IDF, Holocaust sauce on genocide, the study and remembrance of the Holocaust could lose its claim to be concerned with universal justice and retreat into the same ethnic ghetto in which it began its life at the end of World War II, as a marginalized preoccupation by the remnants of a marginalized people, an ethnically specific event before it succeeded decades later to find its rightful place as a lesson and a warning for humanity as a whole. Okay? That's the good part of it. We can accept that. Right? And yeah, I got to leave something out. It wasn't just used for that. That may be the moral historian's use of the genocide. But we also know that it's a machine. The Holocaust has been a machine used to invoke the emotion needed to ensure that the U.S. continues spending on Israel. We can't ignore that. That's not my words. You can find that in books like The Israel Lobby. And that's what's his name wrote about too. He's made his whole career. Norman Finkelstein made a similar career on that. Before the Israel Lobby came out, Finkelstein had similar things to say about this. Holocaust as a political tool. Okay. To shut up all dissent. And anti-Semitism as a word that is just used, as one Israeli woman herself said. I guess she had a moment of truthfulness and she said, it's a trick we use. When it's European says something we don't like, we bring up the Holocaust. Do you want us to suffer another Holocaust? When an American says something we don't like, we say it's anti-Semitism. So, yeah, I recognize it does have a rightful place as a lesson and a warning for humanity as a whole. And I would likewise say that it would probably be third or fourth or fifth under bigger Holocausts that took place. If we're going to be fair, then let's do it by numbers. There were bigger Holocausts. How many Native Americans existed in this country and lived happily? The Lenape were walking around here, New Jersey, and Manhattan, and all these places. How about Australia? Were there not 6 million? Forget the contestation of the numbers, because you know these numbers are contested in the first place. How many Aboriginals were walking around Australia in the times past? How many Native Americans in Canada and in America? How many people in Brazil? The Brazilians they had their own native population. Where did they go? Right? Entire civilization built, not one small area. Yeah. Anywhere you go in New Jersey, probably Europeans came, whites came and killed Native Americans. Every single state in the Union, you can probably say in this area of lands, Native Americans were here and they were all killed. You can't do that in Germany. There's specific spots where that occurred. So yes, it does have its place, its rightful place as a warning. I agree with that. Okay. But it's not at the top, the zenith. There are people who suffered, whose suffering was not as documented. Not there, they didn't have the resources to study it, brand it, etc. All right. Just as worrisome is the prospect that the study of genocide as a whole. I'm sorry to interrupt myself, but why? Because of Jewish supremacy. Okay, yes, the Holocaust. There's been things that are worse. بَلْ أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقَ. Allah says in the Quran, you are people. So Jewish supremacy to me is something that I'm on the lookout for all the time. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. Okay, and what? So I can be anti whatever I want. Did I break a law is the question, right? Oh, you're anti-Chinese. What if I want to be anti-Chinese? I don't want to look at somebody. I don't want to talk to somebody. I don't want to eat their food. I don't want to marry into them. I don't want to befriend them. That's my choice. Your question to me is, did I break a law? Am I inflaming rhetoric? Did I discriminate? You can be anti-Egyptian all you want. I don't like their food. It's bland, blah, blah, blah. You can be anti what you want in your life and in your heart. I can be anti. The question is, did I say words of that are crimes? Criminal. Even less than criminal. Am I invoking hatred? That's not nice for society. It's not a crime. It's not nice for society. Right? So Jewish supremacy is something that I always got my antennas feeling out for. And I don't know, I know he didn't mean it here, but I'm just saying that the Holocaust is not going to be the only, nor should it be the main warning for humanity on this has happened. You know, we have a surah in the Quran about Holocausts. It's called Surah al-Buruj. It tells us very much so about genocides against innocent people whom the pagan population at the time did not want around. They would just dig a ditch. These are called Ashabul Ukhdud. This was an old method, an old methodology of genociding. You dig a ditch, you light it on fire, you literally surround the village that you want to get rid of, the part of town, with your army, and one by one, walk in a line, until they just throw you in there. And in 1 or 2 days, after they built the fire, they dug the ditch, they built the fire, that may take a couple weeks. A lot of trees, a lot of digging for an entire population, let's say 40, 50,000 people. Okay. Huge genocides took places. Huh? The Noas. Who did he genocide? Oh, okay. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. He's the one who did it?
Yeah, the Noas, he had two...
Ajib. I didn't know that.
Yeah, search it up.
Yeah, search it up. Who did he genocide?
I don't know if it was monotheistic, like...
Yeah, Christians probably.
I don't know if it was Christians or not.
The Christians were genocided. Jews were genocided by pagans, and Christians were genocided by Jews. Okay. All right. Yes, young man.
When are we gonna go home?
We're almost done. Take a QA. Go home. Just as worrisome is the prospect that the study of genocide as a whole will not survive the accusations of anti-Semitism, leaving us without the crucial community of scholars and international jurists to stand in the breach at a time when the rise of intolerance, racial hatred, populism, and authoritarianism is threatening the values that were at the core of these scholarly, cultural, and political endeavors in the 20th century. And of course, genocide studies will have so much information now. Like, you will not need, to go to the library and get records from the courts of testimony. You'll need a huge drive, and you'll need to go onto TikTok and keep going back, download, screen grab all these videos, and you're going to have video evidences. So that's why I say that the future of Gaza's documentation is going to be documentaries, not books. Why would I read books when we have the footage, right? Put it in a documentary for all to see. It'll have to be like rated who knows what because of how gruesome the pictures are. Right? Huh? Yeah, it's anti-Semitic. Fine, no problem. The word means nothing to me anymore. I'm saying that to prove a point, not that I'm actually promoting identifying a group of people and hating them just for being that group. No, you deserve to be hated for what you did, or what you supported, or what you stayed silent for. Crypto-Zionists are with them. And Muslims have crypto-Zionists amongst them. We have them amongst us, and they walk around. Some of them are Sufis, too. I can't stand them. Perhaps the only light at the end of this very dark tunnel is the possibility that a new generation of Israelis will face their future without sheltering in the shadow of the Holocaust. No, I don't know if that can exist. I don't know if there's an Israel outside the shadow of the Holocaust. The Holocaust is necessary to ensure that because of this, everyone has to shut up. Because we suffered this, it's an emotional plea. Wait until you get a generation who doesn't have those emotions. Right? Wait until a generation rises that just says, I don't feel sorry for something that happened to your great-grandfather. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Right? I could go and make up a claim like that, and you can go and make a claim like that. And what will you do? It's just a fair question, right? What happens when an American generation rises up and says, listen, you want our money, taxpayer money. Tell us how you're going to benefit us. Why should I give it to you? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Because of my grandfather in the Holocaust. That's your great-grandfather. You never saw him. And what do I care about your great-grandfather? No offense. Why do I care about your great-grandfather? Okay? If you were to explode on me, okay, and you say, I'm really sorry, my great-grandfather really had a tough upbringing. What do I care? You just abused me, right?
People do that with African Americans now, and if their grandparents were slaves, they're like, I don't care. You never met them. You didn't go through the same struggle, so
yeah.
Why does it matter for you?
That's already past that Rubicon.
Yeah.
So it's going to pass this Rubicon where people say, the reason I'm saying this is not to promote the hatred of a people just because of who they are. That's not in Islam. We don't have that. But it's the misuse and abuse of victimization. Yes, there is victimization. Now you're misusing and abusing it to cover up victimization that you're doing. Israel will have to learn to live without falling back on the Holocaust as justification for inhumanity. Despite all the horrific suffering we are currently watching, is a valuable thing. Is a valuable thing. It's not going to happen. They're not going to think that they're going to live like that. But you know who I think will live like that? The non-political, messianic, settler Torah Jews. I don't think that they rely. Why? Because they're sort of ambivalent to the fact that their entire existence relies on liberal Jews manipulating Western politicians. They're ambivalent of that fact, right? They're there imagining that sort of Israel is fixed, and now they're engaging in their messianic operations, right? Which entails getting rid of all the Amalekites or Amalek. Okay, and that's what they're doing in the. That's what they're doing in the West Bank. Speaking of the West Bank, and I see there's Q&A. We'll take a few minutes of Q&A. we have to give light to an American citizen who was killed, and the U.S. doing nothing about it. Last paragraph, this will do nothing to compensate for the staggering amount of death and suffering of Palestinians, but in Israel, liberated from the overwhelming burden of the Holocaust, may finally come to terms with the inescapable need for its 7 million Jewish citizens to share the land with the 7 million Palestinians living in Israel, Gaza and the West Bank, in peace, equality, and dignity. That will be only just reckoning. So that the only just reckoning. So, okay, that's his hopefulness regarding, and that's the liberal take on it. But of course, it's never going to be accepted because the settlers are increasing. You're leaving? Okay, take care. The Haredim, which are the religious people in Israel, they've increased from the founding of Israel from a very small number to now 14%. Their childbirth rates would dictate to us that by 2050, another quarter century, they would be hovering near to 30%. No, more than that. 40 and possibly 50%, because their growth is not linear growth. Okay? Their growth is far greater than that. Now, let's talk about what they've done here, some of them. They've beaten to death a U.S. citizen, a Palestinian, of a Palestinian descent, a U.S. citizen, who went to check on his land in the West Bank. We go to the occupied West Bank for an update on 20-year-old Floridian Saif Musallet. And his family is demanding justice after he was beaten to death by Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank. Alayhim la'natullah. And may Allah give him Jannat al-Firdaus and count him as a shaheed. 100% maut al-shahada, defending his land against these people, of all people. Musallet and another Palestinian, Muhammad Shalabi, were attacked by a group of Israeli settlers on Friday. Can you pick up his picture and put it there, please? His name is Saif Musallet. And his picture should be all over the web. In the Israeli town, or in the town of Sinjil, northeast of Ramallah, where their family owns farmland. Eyewitnesses say the settlers brutally beat Musallet and fatally shot Shalabi, then prevented ambulances from reaching the victims for hours. He was pronounced dead before he could reach a hospital. A gruesome death. The settlers and military don't only work hand in hand, says Jonathan Pollak, anti-Zionist activist, who was injured in the same protest. They are part and parcel of implementing the same policy, ethnic cleansing the West Bank. And here you have a Jewish man, Jonathan Pollak, who we would not have any hate towards. He's doing the right thing. Likewise, a lot of guys. There's a comedian. I don't even know them as comedians. I only know them as commentators on Israel. Palestinians have zero rights, says Nizar Milbis, a distant relative and close friend of the Musallet family, who says settlers have been encroaching on Palestinian lands more aggressively since October 7th. Okay? So, Diana Musallet, a cousin, reads a statement. She says, "We're devastated that our beloved Saifullah Musallet, nicknamed Saif, was brutally beaten to death in our family's land by illegal Israeli settlers who were attempting to steal it. Israeli settlers surrounded Saif for over 3 hours as paramedics attempted to reach him, but the mob of settlers blocked the ambulance and paramedics from providing life-saving aid. After the mob cleared hours later, Saif's younger brother rushed to carry him to the ambulance. Saif was killed and died before reaching the hospital." What has the U.S. said about this? Here's my question. What has the U.S. said about times where people killed U.S. citizens in other countries. It's a huge diplomatic crisis. This, Alif, can you go on and see, go to, let's say, CNN.com. CNN, I'm sure, covered it. They have to have covered it. They covered it, but what has the U.S. officially stated? Look, is it on their front page? No, your citizen gets beaten to death somewhere. And Joaquin Phoenix is on the front page, but not this. What is Joaquin Phoenix on the front page? Reflects on horrible Letterman interview that the actor calls one of the worst nights of my life. We all remember that. That happened like 15 years ago. That's on the front page of CNN. But not the U.S. citizen who gets killed somewhere. And then the people are testifying that those ambulances were blocked. Joaquin Phoenix, or whatever you pronounce his name, he regretting his Letterman interview from 15 years ago. That makes it to the front page, but not a U.S. citizen because he's brown, because he's Arab, because he's Palestinian, and because the criminals are Jews, or Israelis, I should say. Okay. Go to NBC and see if it's on the front page there. Nothing on the front page of their news. NBC News? Try NBC News. Curious to see if anyone's covering it at all in any... Okay, let's go slow. Okay, first thing is... Nothing. Keep going. No mention. What is the value of U.S. citizenship? If they're being told... And why should I trust these media who are being told to bury this story, obviously? Next, go to... Who else should we try? Go to CBS News. Or go to Reuters. Sorry, go to Reuters. Go to Reuters.
Papa, let's go home.
We're gonna go home. Nothing. Jonathan Pollak says, I can tell you what I've witnessed, which is somewhat limited because I was attacked and detained very soon after everything began. Myself and another Palestinian, a young Palestinian man, were helping an older, injured Palestinian man, evacuating him from where settlers were attacking people. At some point, the settlers descended on us from above with batons and just beat us up. The young Palestinian man that was with me, more than myself, and myself as well, as is very evident from the bruises on my face, is important to note that there were Israeli soldiers there. They literally pried us from the settlers' hands while they attacked us, while we were on the floor and they were on top of us. Despite that, they've chosen to detain and arrest us and do nothing with the assailants, despite having seen everything and despite having been there. We were detained for a long time before being taken to the police station. And what we saw at some point is that all the settlers who were present, which were at least 24, entered their cars all at once and drove in sight, like with the soldiers seeing them drive away back into the village. None of the soldiers have thought of stopping them or arresting them or doing anything else to prevent the lynch that took place afterwards, in which Saifullah and Muhammad were killed. Later on that day, says same Pollak, when we were already, it's written exactly how he spoke it, so there's some stuttering here. We were already down the road, still detained. We at some point saw a convoy of at least 12 settler cars filled with people passing, after the lynch, passing by Israeli law enforcement. Okay. None of them had dreamed of stopping these settlers who had just been involved in killing someone. They never even get their IDs. SubhanAllah. People often talk about so the law enforcement of another country letting go the killers of a U.S. citizen, and this isn't top news. People often talk about settlers, about Israeli settlers, about extremist violence. It's important for me to convey the message that this is a red herring. This isn't an issue of some extremists. It's not extremists, of outlaws. acting outside the confines of the law. The settlers and the military don't only work hand in hand. Like, it was evident from how our assault was treated and how the whole incident was treated. They are part and parcel of implementing the same policy of Israel, of the Israeli government, of the Israeli regime, the policy of ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, using and employing as much violence as possible in order to remove Palestinians from their land. It was evident in the murder of Saifullah and of Muhammad on Tuesday. It is evident in the ethnic cleansing of dozens and dozens of Palestinian communities from the West Bank. And it is an extension of the genocide that Israel is perpetrating. Can you find out who this John Pollak is, and we can interview him here on what he saw. The common denominator of all these is that it is one policy employed by the Israeli regime, representative of Israeli public opinion, and that Israel is allowed to employ as much force as it wants, as much violence as it wants, in order to carry out those policies, in order to exterminate in the Gaza Strip and physically remove Palestinians in the West Bank. Juan Gonzalez asked him, when you were held by the Israeli police, what happened? He says, I'm sorry to say, but this isn't the question. So, that's a great answer. Well, who cares what they did to me in the police? The question isn't about me personally or how a specific policeman or specific soldier or policemen in plural treated me. What I'm interested in talking about is the systemic nature of what is happening. So what is interesting in this case is that I was arrested with another Palestinian. I was released quickly. The Palestinian was only released from court today, and he was released from court jail today. And there's another example of Israeli apartheid, where I find myself processed and tried under the Israeli Penal Code, while my Palestinian comrade, the one who was arrested with me, and under the exact same circumstances, suspected of the exact same thing, assaulted just like I was, by the same settlers, we were processed through two different legal systems. The Israeli Penal Code for myself and the Israeli military law for my penal code. Go to the bathroom. Go ahead. Go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom downstairs. So when we talk about how I was treated, the important question to ask was, why was I treated different from a Palestinian? And what does that mean about the Israeli regime and the ability and need for it to be confronted, not only from within, but also to be forced into accountability from the outside? And there's more to this, and there's different people talking in this interview, but that was good to see if we can get this. Nizar Milby says, we were going up, ambulances were coming down, and the ambulance was being attacked. Their windshield was smashed. They gave no deference to the ambulance or to the press. And Saif, unfortunately, when he had tried to attempt his part of the land they got ambushed. A lot of times the settlers, it's basically a no man's land. That's actually not even accurate, because the military is with one group of the people. They know the area pretty well, and it seems like they strategize their attacks. That's the end of this segment on Saif Musallet. 10-minute Q&A. That's it. All right, what's going on in the comments section here? Is the role of the Dajjal to sift out the munafiqeen from the Ummah? And the answer is yes. And I think that may even happen before the Dajjal. Can you speak about Jonathan Brown? He once said he respects the recite to insult the Prophet. No, he took that back. And he said it wasn't a good example. I don't mean that, and I don't respect anyone's right to insult the Prophet. How can I raise my daughter to wear hijab willingly and confidently out of love for Islam without being negatively influenced by social media and peer pressure? Well, I can only tell you what I see other Muslim women doing is that it's friends, it's a community, right? Encouragement. When Islam is not meant to be practiced all by yourself. It's really not meant for that. It's not meant to be practiced solo. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Don't touch that. It's sharp. It's sharp.
It's not meant for that. It's meant for a group, and we support one another in doing all these ibadat. Can we get a link to the first article? The New York Times article? Go to New York Times and just type in. Edif will put it up. Abu Bakr said to his son, you want to wear this helmet? You want to wear the helmet? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Omar's going to get it. Is it permissible for me to pray Sadl at home and Qabt in the masjid? Yes, no problem. What is the balance between extravagance and humility?
It's not sharp on the inside.
No, it's light. Here we go. There's fur in here. Ready? Let's see. Oh, wow. You want to see what you look like? Come. Look at this soldier. What a soldier. What a soldier. There you go. You like that? You like this helmet? It's very heavy. Yep. What's the balance between extravagance and humility? Extravagance, I believe the best way to do it is to look at what do the pious people view as excess, right? Do pious people in this day and age view having 4 to 5 different pairs of shoes for a guy as excessive? Probably not, because one shoe is going to be made for the snow. One shoe is going to be made for running. One shoe is going to be your general sneaker. One shoe is going to be your general loafer. One shoe is going to be made for weddings. So no one views that as extravagance. So the question, but 20 shoes? Yeah, 20 shoes is extravagance. So the question is the view, extravagance and excess is going to be determined by comparison with the righteous people. Humility, also, how do I act humble? Do I walk a certain way? No. Humility is just not believing that you're superior to anyone else and believing that, yes, while I may be doing something better than someone else, but we don't know how I'm going to end. That's the question. So not to be smug about this. So, for example, if I have a kid doing hifz of Quran and I have another kid who's fell into drugs, it is very clear. One, his behavior, his state is superior to the other. But I can't say he's superior until, okay, we both die. Everyone dies. Only then we'll know. We don't know how you're going to die. Years may change and one may end up in a better death than the other. So from that aspect, we can't make a final statement. But we could say, yes, at this moment in time, he's better than him. We can say that. We can say at this moment in time, he is doing better than this other guy. If a Shafi'i is visiting Turkey, how does he reconcile praying in the masjid since they are Hanafi and it appears that some of them do not say the Basmala? Says Habasha man. The answer to that is, if the Imam's prayer is valid in his madhab, then it is valid for you to pray behind him. Why has Sadl been left off by Malikis? Probably only if they're in a environment they don't want to have a headache, then they'll pray qabt. But as a hukum, it's not. It's still considered the sunnah in the dominant opinion. And that's what they teach in Egypt and Morocco. And probably if he's going to go with a whole room full of people that are not doing sadl and he doesn't want to be different or something, then he can pray qabd. That's probably maybe the reason. How do we know if a tough phase in life is divine guidance or just being lost? It's how you react. Don't worry about what Allah deems it to be. Ask yourself, how are you reacting? That's the question that Sharia always points us to, not some information we don't have access to, but our own free will. How are you acting towards it? Are you getting better? Are you making tawbah? Are you improving? Or is the opposite? Are you falling in despair? And other things like that. So that's a question you should be asking. And if you're getting better, then it's from Allah to improve you. It's divine help. If you're getting worse, it's a punishment. Can you bring on Harun Khan? Yes, he's on the list of invitees. Is there an opinion which allows to combine prayers because of school? La. Ask your school for a place to pray. No. Keep in mind though, Jummah in the Maliki Madhab extends all the way to Maghrib. As long as you have time to pray Jummah. A dog. Go look. There's a dog. Two sajdas. Two rakas of Jummah and one rakah of Asr. Then that's how late you could push it. What is Islamic title or honorific for someone who completes Umrah, similar to how we call someone who completes Hajj? No, there is, just as someone who completes Hajj, we call him Ya Hajj. There is no honorific title that I know of regarding Umrah. What's the difference between sabr and self-silencing? Self-silencing, we don't have that because you can take your complaint to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Self-silencing seems like I'm not even allowing myself to talk about it to myself or to Allah. La. We say, Sayyidina Yaqub said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. All right, stop that stuff. Go sit there.
Dinosaur man or Spider-Man?
Yeah. Did Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam achieve the status of Allah's Khalil by his efforts? No one achieves anything by efforts, except that when Allah chooses you for something, He inspires you to the efforts that will make you reach it. But everything's from Allah. Maliki school, when does your finger go up in the tashahhud? The entire time, like this. The entire time. Or in a circle. It says in the Quran that if you look towards the sky while making dua, God will snatch your eyes. No, it's not in the Quran at all. But in the hadith, the Prophet looked in the sky while making dua. The Prophet ﷺ forbade people to look up in the prayer, in the obligatory prayer, or in the ritual prayer when they were praying. Okay? When they were praying, they would look up because they were new Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ said, don't look up. Look down in the prayer. Don't be praying looking up like this. It is not dua. That was the obligatory prayer, and they were looking up, birds, trees. The Prophet ﷺ said, look down. He said this 3 times. They wouldn't listen to him. He said, if you look up, maybe Allah will snatch your eyes. Right? So basically, he has to give them a threat because they're not listening. They were new, maybe perhaps Bedouin visitors or something. So, however, making dua, supplication, is different from the ritual obligatory prayer. Making dua is different. Okay? Can I carry the shape of the sandal of the Prophet? Oh, of course, why not? I committed sin a few years ago, then I lost a large amount of money. Was it punishment? If losing that money made you make tawbah and say, oh Allah, make this the kafara of my sins, then inshallah it will be the kafara of your sins. Can I do submissions with my friend when we wrestle? No, we can't. You can't do that. You cannot harm somebody and choke them in Islam, whether they agree to it or not. what about the hadith, the prizes only in archery, horse, camel, and racing? That means in the Maliki school that Allah's messenger does not want Muslims playing games for financial gain or any gain, because it elevates the rank of the game, right? It elevates the rank of lahu, except for set by the government for military games, contests, to encourage war games, shooting, riding, swimming, running, whatever you would do in the military, to encourage people to do that. Then the sultan could say, yes, the best archer, I'm going to give him this prize, this money. The best shooter, I'm going to give him this. The best person to do a whatever, run, swim, jump, whatever, that's acceptable by the government. That's the Maliki ruling. The Hanafi doesn't have that ruling. What's the Hanafi ruling? If it's halal to do, it's halal to earn by, right? Yeah. Hanafi is, that's why the justification for professional athletes in Islam is the Hanafi school, not the Maliki school. Your wealth is not lawful in the Maliki opinion if you play a game to earn money, because it encourages waste of time. Then, okay, if I'm going to earn money by playing soccer, then we can train kids to play 8 hours a day, right? To hopefully earn money, earn good money playing soccer. Is that what we want then? No? Soccer academies everywhere, and I'm not saying like great exercise, no, like full time. This is what he's going to do in his life. Do I get a major sin if I combine prayers because of school? My parents say that I combine it. So if you can pray dhuhr in Asr time, then your salah will be considered qada, and it's valid. Sorry. Your salah is considered sinful for delay, but it's valid. Okay? You're sinful for the delay, but the prayer is valid. When we lose money from a ticket or a fine, can we say the dirt of our wealth is gone? Maybe. Hopefully, you should pray for that to be the bad wealth, the dirty wealth, because all our money is a little bit mixed up. Do you have a video that shows the proofs of sadl? Yes, it's in our website, malikifiqqa.com. Alifun? Yeah, malikifiqqa.com. Go to search, type in sadl. Why is he trying to prove sadl? The proof is not sadl, the proof is qabd. Sadl is the default. Okay, the essay is right there. Sadl, I need to put that differently. I need to just copy it into the website. But I don't understand, why are they're even, the question is flipped. Sadl is the default of standing. What you need to prove is qabd. When you prove qabd, of course the proof of qabd is easy. The hadith are there. Now we have to ask you to prove something else. Where is your proof that the Prophet meant that for all the prayers? Obligatory and nafil. And where is your proof that he meant it as a sunnah rather than a rukhsah? So at this point, many of the people don't even know these terms in the first place. The goal is what the Malikis do not have to prove sadl. Sadl is the default. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, put your right hand over your left hand. But the question is, in which prayers and why? That's the question. We agree on qabd. We have no issue with qabd. Okay? But the hadith are there. You can read them to show why is it that the Maliki, not Malik himself, before him, even way before him, they deemed this as a rukhsah for long nawafil, long extra prayers, when the blood would go down to the arm, to the fingers, and then they would get numb. But at the same time, keep in mind, we're talking about in the other madhabs, putting your hand on your hand, qabd, is a fadila. It's not even sunnah mu'akkada. It's not something that you'd have to do salatul sujood as-sahw if you forget it. You would not be deemed like you would not be deemed defective in your religion if you left it off on purpose even and say, I know about qabd, I'm going to pray sadl. No, you would be not blameworthy in any capacity. Whereas you would be blameworthy if you intentionally leave off a sunnah mu'akkada for no reason. That would make someone blameworthy. But none of them even say it's one of those. So it really should not be. But if you're asking just out of curiosity, no problem. Like as a fiqh question, the article is there. And Ed, if you're going to put, please, the link on the thingy there. All right. So that gives you the answer to that. What dates will you be in Dar al-Fuqaha in Turkey? That will be July 26th until August 1st. How to stop comparing your income to people your same age? Compare it to those your same age that have far worse incomes. Keep your eye focused on them. How do I stop being a glutton? Look at yourself in the mirror until you start feeling very bad about what you see. That will motivate you to stop eating. And trust me, humans were not meant to eat all the time. If you want to think about all humans in the past suffered periods of starvation. We're not saying 3-month droughts and stuff. I'm talking 2-3 days of having no food in the house. This happens to people all the time. People all the time were not eating. Let me tell you a story. I met a doctor at Upna. And he said to me that he had long COVID. And he couldn't have any solution for it. Couldn't find any solution. Although he himself is a physician. So that means he knows how to assess other specialists. No one could help him. Then reading in literature, he discovered hunger. The power of hunger. And he discovered that when a person's hungry and the body needs energy, it first goes to the weakest cells, which are the sick cells. So he went in under a medically, not induced, but a medically supervised dry fast. Not a water fast. Dry fast. I couldn't even believe what I was hearing, because water fast I can get. You can do many days on water fast. But dry fast. No food, no water. For many days. I had always been taught that it was almost like 3 days. You can't survive without water. Apparently not. But when he was finished with those 9 days, he was completely cured of his long COVID. 9 days. No food or water. I didn't know this is possible. All right. I said, hold on a second. Let me get this straight. Water only. He said, no food, no water. Full dry fast. I didn't know this was humanly possible. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. But he said that he had to do it with a doctor supervising it. Although he himself is also a doctor. But he ends up because he says that your body needs energy, right? So before it gets to the fats, it's going to get to the sick cells. So that's what he told me. That's all I could tell you. Omar, can you answer this brother's question? What is the best Hanafi and Ash'ari website? But there's a great Ash'ari websites, but they're not in English.
Yeah, I don't know about English. That's specific.
Yeah.
You can find Hanafi only, but Ash'ari.
I want to see this. Don't touch them.
Papa, let's go home.
I'm going to look up longest dry fast in record. The longest dry fast, no food or water? No, come on.
No, come
It's 382 days?
82
How? Held by Angus Barbieri. Is he a jinn?
days.
He achieved this in 1971.
Was he like taking?
How?
Was he like injecting himself?
Angus Barbieri's fast. Oh my gosh, he looks so different. He was 456 pounds and before he began his year-long fast.
Oh, this guy, yeah.
You know about this, Alif? Put it on the screen. Because I said 9-day dry fast and I thought to myself, this is I don't know. I'm going to get laughed at on the internet, right?
I think so he was really big.
456 pounds. ate it itself. What did he do? Sleep for all these days?
What happened on the last day made him stop?
And then secondly, when you eat, how do you eat, right? Like you have to reintroduce the foods very slowly. Okay, listen to this. Angus Barbieri. He was born in 1939 and he died in 1990. He was a Scottish man who fasted for 382 days from June 14th, 1965 to June 30th, 1966. Wait a second. It's not a dry fast then. He subsisted on tea, coffee, sparkling water, and vitamins. So it's not a dry fast then.
This is fake.
It's not a dry fast. Okay.
But he had some sort of record. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Papa, let's go home.
Okay.
Yeah, no, okay.
It's not a dry fast. Why did they say dry fast?
Papa, let's go home.
The record.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so the dry fast has to have water in it, right? Dry from the dry things, but you're drinking the moist things, right? In 1971, Guinness Book of World Records, Barbieri's 382-day fast was recognized as the longest recorded. As of 2025, Barbieri retains the record. The longest fast without solid food? Yeah, dry fast without solid food. It's not without water. You cannot go without... How long can you go without water? Let's look that up.
It said up to 10 days for like extreme cases, but for normal it's 65 days. I found it's apparently Andreas Mihavix. He's the dry fast record. 18 days.
For the records?
18 days.
Let me see. Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, 18 days by Andreas Austrian. Well, he's put in a holding cell. Okay, yeah. Andreas Mihavix.
Okay, how much is it?
So it was 18 days. He was 18 years old. He was put into a holding cell in April 1979
Yeah.
in a local government building, and they totally forgot about him. And then they discovered him close to death.
And he survived. Wow.
Papa, let's go home.
Yeah, so... But this fast, it helps cure a lot of sicknesses.
Papa, let's go home.
Is it bad to eat with the left hand if you're left-handed? Yeah, you should learn to eat with your right. If I work in a pool, is my money haram? What do you mean, in a swimming pool? The looking is haram. Can you invite Sheikh Asrar Rashid? Yes, inshallah we will.
Papa, let's go home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up. Let's recite the dua.
Let's pack up. Let's go home to the airport.
You live in the airport?
I'm watching the movie.
لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا وكان عند الله وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. أعيذ نفسي بالله تعالى من كل ما يسمع بأذنين ويبصر بعينين ويمشي برجلين ويبطش بيدين ويتكلم بشفتين. حصنت نفسي بالله الخالق الأكبر من شر ما أخاف وأحذر من الجن والإنس وأن يحضرون. عز جاره وجل ثناؤه وتقدست أسماؤه ولا إله غيره. اللهم إني أجعلك في نهور أعدائي وأعوذ بك من شرورهم وتحيلهم ومكرهم ومكائدهم. أطفئ نار من أراد بي عداوة من الجن والإنس. يا حافظ يا حفيظ يا كافي يا محيط سبحانك يا رب ما أعظم شأنك وأعز سلطانك. تحسنت بالله وبأسماء الله وبآيات الله وملائكة الله وأنبياء الله ورسل الله والصالحين من عباد الله. حسنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفني بكنفك الذي لا يرام وارحمني بقدرتك علي فلا أهلك وأنت ثقتي ورجائي. يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين. اكفني شر كل طارق يطرق بليل أو نهار إلا طارق يطرق بخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. بسم الله أرقي نفسي من كل ما يؤذي ومن كل حاسد. الله شفائي بسم الله رقيت. اللهم رب الناس أذهب الباس اشفي أنت الشافي وعافي أنت المعافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما ولا ألما. يا كافي يا وافي يا حميد يا مجيد ارفع عني كل تعب شديد واكفني من الحد والحديد والمرض الشديد والجيش العديد واجعل لي نورا من نورك وعزا من عزك ونصرا من نصرك وبهاء من بهائك وعطاء من عطائك وحراسة من حراستك وتأييد من تأييدك. يا ذا الجلال والإكرام والمواهب العظام أسألك أن تكفيني من شر كل ذي شر إنك أنت الله الخالق الأكبر. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وعلى كل حال يا أرحم الراحمين.
Kalbe şifa